Why did the US release hundreds of millions of mosquitoes in Panama? Welcome everyone to the latest episode of Top Secret. Every week, 15 million turtles are dropped over Panama from secret aircraft. These creatures can kill livestock and threaten human lives. Even more terrifying, they are mass-produced in secret factories right on American soil. But the biggest mystery is why the affected countries remain strangely silent about this unprecedented rescue operation in history. What dark secret is hiding behind this insane plan? Let's uncover the mystery right now. Turtle Production Workshop. This is a rather unique production facility, blending the appearance of a farm with the scale of a factory. But the common feature of this place is that it specializes in raising turtles. The first factory was built in Mason, Texas, with a production capacity of up to 200 million turtles per week. The turtles we are referring to belong to the green turtle species, family California. They prefer fresh raw meat, which poses significant challenges for researchers in breeding them on an industrial scale. Initially, the researchers fed the turtles a mixture made from ground beef and fresh protein, but beef turned out to be quite expensive. Therefore, they sought to replace them with cheaper meats such as horse, whale, pork, or beef lungs. People even used nutria rat meat as food when they overran Louisiana. By 1962, the turtles at the mission facility were consuming up to 98 tons of meat and 3,800 liters of protein water per week, an astonishing figure. However, raising turtles is not an easy task because after being raised, they must also be transported to testing sites. This is yet another serious issue because their odor is extremely unpleasant, to the point that airlines refuse to transport them. Factory workers have to spray perfume on garbage bins to reduce the foul smell. The factory and mission ceased operations in 1981, relocating its production base to Mexico and later moving again to Panama. Today, this hammer factory is located on an old plantation in Panama, about 32 kilometers from the capital. Unlike previous methods, turtle hatchlings are no longer fed raw meat. But they still need a certain amount of animal protein. However, instead of using fresh meat, the researchers switched to a more economical diet. Just meets the necessary nutritional needs for the turtle's development. The current diet is a mixture of protein, eggs, and milk, which is then thickened with cellulose. When you pour this mixture onto a plate, the dish looks no different from sewer water. Surprisingly, they not only tasted delicious but also grew as healthy as ever. Currently, the factory is operating with 115 employees working in 24/7 shifts to ensure continuous production line operation. Each week, they produce about 20 million screws. These turtles live in a stifling concrete space, without even a single window. Each room in the factory has controlled temperature and humidity tailored to each stage of the turtle's development. For example, when the eggs hatch, the chicks will be raised in a room maintained at 39 degrees Celsius, simulating the temperature of an animal when infected. After hatching, the young bees are moved to lower temperature brood cells to complete their maturation process. To manage this process, the factory uses a specialized larval counting machine. Each time, release 425 grams of larvae into the aluminum trays. After that, the larvae will be arranged into small piles, each containing about 50 individuals. Every step is meticulously and precisely executed to ensure optimal quality for the finished product. It can be said that working at this factory is no different from a real workshop, where every detail is meticulously controlled to ensure no mistakes occur. And the result is an effective and successful risk control program. Just 2 days after being released into the rearing environment, the Trong Sun turtles began to appear. They were placed in a cold room, where they entered a state of hibernation. They stopped working, but in reality, After that, the turtles will be placed into large metal containers. About the size of a dryer, it was loaded onto the plane and began its journey. As the plane takes off, the turtles are released into the designated area. A small propeller plane carrying 2 million turtles. This is one of the aircraft that was once used in the military. But now, it is undertaking a special mission, dispersing these crucial insect species. The aircraft is equipped with a fuel distribution system, which efficiently supplies fuel to the engine components. In the past, technicians had to perform this task manually, meticulously placing each small box containing the worms in a vacuum environment. However, sometimes the box doesn't break when it falls to the ground, preventing the seeds from being dispersed. Now, everything has improved significantly. The aircraft flies at an altitude of no more than 450 meters, so when bats wake up from hibernation due to the warm temperatures, they just need to regain consciousness to fly away, scattering across the area. After the turtle swam away, let's take a closer look at this creature. These are turtles of the species *Clematia hominiphorac*, with blazing red eyes and shimmering metallic blue shells. They belong to the housefly family, a common type of insect that can be found almost everywhere. However, it's the small details that matter the most. After mating, the female fly will lay eggs in open wounds on warm-blooded animals. When the eggs hatch, the larva will feed on the flesh tissue around the wound. After feeding to fullness, they leave the wound, pupate, and develop into a new generation of flies. This turtle species has long been a major concern for local farmers. They can enter pets' bodies through any open wound on the skin, like scratches from barbed wire, tick bites, or patches of bare, unprotected skin. After leaving the host, the larvae leave behind wounds that cause the animals pain. Annually, in South America alone, this turtle species causes millions of dollars in damages to the livestock industry. They are widely distributed from Florida to California, and is capable of attacking warm-blooded animals, from large livestock to deer, squirrels, pets, and even humans. The essential thing is that they only need the meat to be fresh and warm in order to function normally. For thousands of years, turtles and their hatchlings have been an essential part of life in America, especially in areas with abundant food and warm climates. There is no measure that can completely eliminate them, making them a persistent nuisance to humans. However, by the 1950s, American farmers began envisioning a world without flies. They dream of a future where livestock no longer suffer from the pain caused by flies. Thanks to their encouragement, the U.S. Department of Agriculture took action, and that very moment marked the beginning of significant changes. A group of scientists from the U.S. Department of Agriculture released sterile flies on Santo Island, a small island near the coast of Florida. This is an important test because the released turtles are unable to reproduce. This is the core element of the strategy. At first, everything remained still with no changes, but the scientists persevered and did not give up. They continued the experiment and released another batch of sterile flies onto Syracuse Island. And then the miracle happened. After just a few months, those turtles completely vanished from the island. This success story has launched an ambitious project aimed at improving the lives of numerous animals and people, particularly livestock-raising households. Thanks to the efforts of state and federal officials, the U.S. Department of Agriculture launched a campaign to eradicate this beetle species in the area east of the Mississippi River in 1957. After 2 years of success, the campaign was expanded and received requests to implement similar measures from farm owners in Texas, Louisiana, New Mexico, Arizona, and California. In 1966, the U.S. finally declared an official victory over these carnivorous turtles. However, a serious issue remains. The barriers meant to block turtles along the Mexico border are not as effective as expected. Therefore, scientists are compelled to find a more optimal solution. In 1985, they decided to build a barrier at the Isthmus of Panama, the narrow strip of land connecting the two continents. This decision was by no means random, as the Panama Canal is an extremely strategic location. Currently, the turtle control program costs about $15 million per year. But this technology helps the U.S. agriculture industry save approximately $796 million annually, creating an incredible success story. In the effort to protect the agricultural sector from the harmful effects of this beetle species. Essentially, driving this turtle species out of an area isn't overly difficult. But the real challenge lies in preventing new invasions from other areas. Therefore, scientists have developed an extremely sophisticated biological control system. The continuous flow of the passage is maintained through the relentless efforts of the program's team. Every week, millions of baby turtles are released into the warm tropical waters of Panama. This place is considered a key position in the program's surveillance efforts. To ensure the campaign's high effectiveness, a factory operated day and night to nurture and conduct transplants for these turtles. Ensure they cannot reproduce in the wild. However, the job isn't as simple as just releasing turtles back into the sea. Controllers and monitoring staff must travel thousands of kilometers of forest roads in the area. By motorbike, boat, and horse, they inspect and search for baby turtle hatchlings outside the protective fence. These areas are very hard to reach, requiring staff to work under extremely challenging conditions. Even a small mistake can ruin an entire lengthy process, causing severe losses. That's why this barrier has existed for over 50 years. This is clear evidence of the seriousness and determination of the program's participants. Considered an extremely effective strategy, this barrier is not actually a physical structure as many mistakenly believe. In reality, this is an extremely effective biological control system. has been sustained for many years through the tireless dedication of thousands of people. To protect the environment and agriculture from the negative impacts caused by mole crickets. It is thanks to thorough investment and strong determination that the program has achieved significant success. Ensure this area remains secure and prevent the re-entry of the dangerous turtle species. Why did the U.S. government decide to build the canal in the Isthmus of Panama instead of along the 3,200-kilometer border with Mexico? The reason is very simple: cost. Airdropping supplies onto the uninhabited Isthmus of Panama would save a significant amount of money compared to other options. The Isthmus of Panama's strategic location allows even a simple control system to achieve outstanding effectiveness. Instead of having to build and maintain a virtual fence thousands of kilometers long. This is truly an extremely smart economic strategy. Helps reduce costs while ensuring effective protection of the area from sea turtles. Phua Trung. Scientists have discovered an innovative solution to control carnivorous turtles through a particularly fascinating study. Scientists have discovered that female turtles mate only once in their entire lifetime. Therefore, if they mate with infertile male turtles, they will no longer be able to reproduce. This is truly a significant discovery, because if we release sterile male turtles into the natural environment, the population of this turtle species will gradually decline, and in reality, this is how humans are currently behaving. Raising turtles on farms, thoroughly disinfecting them, and then releasing them back into their natural habitat. However, disinfecting turtles is not as easy as people often think. When this idea was first proposed, no expert had yet figured out how to make it a reality. However, Edward Dibling, an entomologist working at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, stated, "This is the person who discovered the sterilization method. Since childhood, I have had a lot of experience dealing with various types of crop-damaging insects." He had directly faced similar challenges on his family's farm in Texas. Therefore, solving this issue is extremely important to him. However, when World War II broke out, he and his group were forced to shift their focus to addressing more urgent tasks. Therefore, the research on turtles had to be temporarily suspended. After the war ended, Dibling returned to his research work. He realized that excessively high levels of radiation could damage cells and tissues in the human body. From that moment, a new idea flashed in his mind: instead of using pesticides to kill the beetles, why don't we try killing the larva with X-rays? This is the pivotal turning point in the research journey. The scientists conducted the experiment by exposing turtles at various developmental stages to X-rays while adjusting the radiation intensity for each group. They need to calculate the radiation dosage to be strong enough to render them sterile, but not too strong as to diminish their ability to attract mates in the wild. After numerous trials, they finally discovered the optimal formula, an effective method for producing turtles that are incapable of reproduction. You might be wondering, if all it takes is releasing sterile turtles everywhere and waiting for some time, why not just do that right away? But in reality, this is not an easy solution. This turtle species is widely distributed across South America, and to achieve that, to sustain a large population of sterile flies, we will need to build many factories and also mobilize a massive fleet of aircraft to release them everywhere. In addition, coordination among multiple countries and ecological experts is necessary to ensure the implementation process achieves high efficiency. Therefore, this is not a feasible solution in the short term. However, if there is concern that sterile turtles could escape the facility and cause an ecological disaster, this is not a cause for concern because they cannot reproduce, so it won't lead to a population explosion. The infertile turtles only live for a short time before dying, causing no long-term impact. However, if the protective barrier suddenly collapses, everything will be completely different. Therefore, maintaining a continuous control system is absolutely essential. A prime example is the summer of 2016 in the Florida Keys, which is home to a large population of deer. The locals here noticed that the deer started showing strange behavior. They kept shaking their heads back and forth, as if trying to shake something off. Then, deep gashes appeared on their heads, exposing the stark white bone beneath. This happened because of an attack by carnivorous turtles. Fortunately, by releasing sterilized flies on the islands, the situation has improved significantly. The situation has been brought under control and has stabilized. But the interesting thing is that to this day, science still cannot explain why turtles have the ability to reproduce. Where did it appear again in the Florida Keys, despite strict protective measures? This is clear evidence of the importance of maintaining a continuous and rigorous control system to prevent this turtle species from having the chance to invade again. Even if infertile turtles do not cause a disaster, without protective measures, all previous efforts will become futile. The issue of carnivorous turtles is not only a concern for the United States but also attracts attention from many other countries. Many countries around the world are also suffering severe consequences caused by this turtle species. We can divide them into two main groups: Old World turtles and New World turtles. In this video, we'll explore bedbugs, a type of insect that causes significant trouble for both humans and animals. The ancient world's turtle species were primarily distributed across tropical and subtropical regions of Africa, the Middle East, India, Southeast Asia, and Papua New Guinea. In these areas, the carnivorous turtle remains a serious threat to both wildlife and agricultural activities. Even Uruguay, a South American country, cannot ignore this issue. This turtle species causes significant damage, from attacking livestock to transmitting dangerous diseases to humans. However, eradicating the carnivorous turtle species faces a major challenge. This strategy is only effective if all countries unite in cooperation. If only one country unilaterally strives to eradicate this turtle species within its own territory, these turtles will easily migrate to neighboring countries. Even if billions of infertile turtles are killed to limit reproduction, this effort still cannot prevent the invasion of new turtles from other regions. Therefore, if this strategy is applied in only one country, all efforts become futile. To thoroughly resolve this issue, countries must join hands in cooperation by forming an international alliance to prevent the invasion of carnivorous turtles and ensure they cannot reappear. However, cooperation between countries is not an easy task. Every country faces its own challenges in maintaining protective measures and implementing control campaigns for this turtle species. Differences in policies, finances, and resources among countries create significant obstacles to cooperation. However, America is blessed by nature with a favorable geographical position, allowing it to easily establish and maintain a compact yet highly effective defense barrier. This location is situated in Ulat, Panama, where it can monitor the movement of turtles across border areas. Equally important, financial factors are also a key determinant of the strategy's success. Thanks to abundant financial resources, the U.S. has the capacity to carry out large-scale control operations over extended periods. Ensure continuous implementation of protective measures to prevent the intrusion of turtles from other areas. However, despite the U.S. possessing many advantages that help sustain lasting success, the essential point is that all nations must join hands in cooperation and actively participate. The hunting of sea turtles is not an issue for any single nation alone, but has become a shared global concern. Protecting the environment and the agricultural sector from the encroachment of this turtle species. This demands a high level of unity and determination from all countries. If we know how to collaborate, share knowledge and available resources together, we will build a safer living environment for both humans and animals. At the same time, it is necessary to protect global agriculture from the potential threats posed by this turtle species. It turns out that the US releasing hundreds of millions of turtles also had its own hidden agenda. However, its effectiveness has not yet been clearly demonstrated. What are your thoughts on the solution proposed by the US? Don't forget to share your opinion in the comments section below the video. Thank you all for watching the video until the end. See you again next time.